Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new week of distance learning. So, as you can see, I've continued the tradition of forcing my dog to wear something ridiculous. Today, sporting a very fancy Dollarama bandana. Anyway, I'm going to let him down though, because he's like, why did you wake me up from my nap for this? Okay, there we go. All right. So let's get started here. So grade sevens, you have your own version of this with separate links. But I'm going to actually kind of instruct this lesson with the grade eight one on my screen, just because there's a little bit extra stuff for them. So I will make sure that you know exactly what you have to do for this week. But just that's why it says grade eight at the top of the screen here. So don't worry, this still applies to you too. So first things first, I know that there's work happening behind the scenes over this weekend to roll out a new, easier to access, and more comprehensive and less inundating Google Classroom for you guys. So we're putting everything together into one Google Classroom to make your lives and our lives easier in terms of managing your calendar and keeping track of your work. So that's starting this week, and there's going to be a Google Meet session by your homeroom teacher to talk about that and the overview of that. So specifically for the grade eights, my Google Meet will be happening this Monday at 10:30. And if you happen to have missed that notification, or that doesn't work with your schedule or whatever, then you can reach out to me directly, or I'll attempt to record it and then post it so you can see it. But just in case the technology doesn't work out for me, I'm quite confident that you're fairly tech savvy and you'll be able to figure things out. But definitely we could talk one-on-one if needed, if you need further explanation in addition to this Google Meet that's happening on Monday. So I do have the meets that I envision using with you guys from here on out, the links posted to this. Now, this will be consistent for me unless I hear otherwise, as in the only way that these links would be changed from here on out is if it'll make your life easier. So there's the possibility that maybe they'll choose to do one Google link for just one classroom and then that's it. And that would be the only way that this would change. But otherwise, as of today, which is Sunday, before this is posted on Monday, these are the links that it'll be. And unless you hear otherwise from me, you can just stick with these links from here on out. And I tried to set it up in your calendar where you get a 10-minute notification before this. So hopefully that works. And if not, then you know that this is the link from here on out, unless you hear otherwise. So what are you doing for science this week? So I'm going to do a separate video for science and French. And for science, this is actually kind of a comprehensive 2-week timeline. But I will do just a simple introduction next week too, so that you can kind of keep yourself on track and know what's expected of you each week. But for science, we're focusing on structures. And thank you for those of you who passed in your Rube Goldberg machines. I like so enjoyed watching those videos, and I loved everyone's like triumphant whenever it worked, because obviously I didn't see most of the troubleshooting that happened in order to reach that final product. And some who sent in the fails, I appreciated those too. Like they were all really well done, so creative. Like I was beyond impressed. So thank you for those of you who sent in the Rube Goldberg machines last week. I hope you had fun with that assignment, even though I know it was challenging. Um, and I definitely enjoyed watching them and enjoyed seeing the pictures and enjoyed hearing about them from you guys. So thank you for that. So we are continuing to look at structures. So this unit is going to go on for like with a specific focus on simple machines, on forces, and on like systems and structures. So I do have a slideshow that's going to be accompanying our meets every Tuesday, and I'm going to keep building on that slideshow and keep modifying and adding things. So this slideshow here which my computer's super laggy, sorry. But this slideshow here, you'll notice it starts with the topics we're focusing on. So that's what I'm going to be concentrating on from here on out. It'll have your specific goals for the week posted. This one I have to update. Sorry, that's from last week. But it'll have your specific goals for the week posted. It'll have just the basic information that you need to know that we're going to be discussing in our classes. So it is important that you can access that slideshow, be able to find that in your Google Classroom, because that's what I'll be using in our Tuesday instructions. And that'll give you an idea of what material we'll be covering and where we're going with that. So that is your main resource that'll be used for science moving forward. So I'm going to have you guys focus specifically on simple machines this week. And the first thing I'm going to have you do is do a scavenger hunt. So this can be whatever you have access to. So if you are completely stuck in the house, then use what you find in the house. If you're able to go outside, then go outside and take a look and find things in your neighborhood. If you're able to go on the balcony, or if you have a yard, then you could do that too. So these are all options of the outdoors. And you're going to find as many simple machines as you can. So I'm going to do direct instruction as to what these simple machines are on Tuesday when I see you guys in class, and you'll be doing another assignment over the next 2 weeks that aligns specifically with these simple machines. But for now, in the beginning, the introduction, I just want you to try to identify simple machines around you, okay? And so even if they're not perfect, it's okay. We can explain about why you might have thought that was and why it isn't what you were originally thinking. So it's okay to take educated guesses. It's okay to make a mistake. I'd rather you do it. And then we could talk about why that was afterwards. Okay. So simple machines, I just want you to try to identify the simple machines that are in your environment. So these simple machines are what we're focusing on. There's 6. There's an inclined plane, a wedge, a screw, a lever, a pulley, and a wheel and axle. So there's pictures here that show you what they look like, but all simple machines are designed to give you a mechanical advantage or to make work easier. So if you look at all sorts of innovations and things that are being built and basic inventions that we've created, they are based on these simple machines because they make our lives easier. As humans, we're kind of lazy creatures sometimes, and we like things that make our lives easier, right? So this I'm going to have created as an assignment for you so you can modify it. Now, once again, I want to reinforce, I'm giving you suggested due dates just to keep it on track so that you're able to kind of manage your time. But once again, if you need a weekend, if you need some extra time, this is a crazy new world in which we find ourselves in, a new normal. It is completely okay to do that. So I appreciate people emailing me and letting me know that that's their plan. But certainly there's no penalty if you don't reach this by the suggested due date. All right. So I would try your best to adhere to those due dates just so you are kind of with the class for the instruction and the meet times. But that being said, I recognize everyone's schedules look different. Everyone's lives look different right now. You could be sharing a house with 6 people using the same computer. Like, I get it. Everyone's lives look very different. So within reason, we're going to try and get this done for Friday. I'm giving you a new challenge as well. So this is spanning 2 weeks. So you can budget your time how you want this to look over the next 2 weeks. All right. So you could do this lever challenge if you have a lot of time this week, or you could I have it designed where you do the scavenger hunt this week and then the lever challenge next week. But you can budget your time accordingly. You can certainly do something earlier or later, depending on what works for your time. So for the lever challenge, this is where you're going to create a lever and you're going to try and hit a target. So what do I mean by that? I'll just kind of go through this instructions and then I'll explain it with my own version that I've created myself here. So to show you that it sounds probably more complicated than it actually is, but it should be fun. So a lever, if we look at our picture here, it looks like this. It's a long plank that you put force on one side and it makes life easier, kind of like a seesaw, right? It'll it'll move accordingly. So this is a picture here that shows you what a lever looks like. And so I'm going to have you create a lever and a fulcrum. So when I get into our discussion on Tuesday, I'll discuss more about what a fulcrum is. But a fulcrum is, like on a seesaw where there's a part that kind of holds it together in the middle and it goes from side to side. So the fulcrum is like that part in the middle that is elevating the plank, which then enables it to go side to side. So this lever challenge, you're going to attempt to move an object. Now, please don't pick a super heavy object that's going to cause your parents a bunch of headaches and like make them upset that I assigned you this assignment. So please pick something reasonable that's not going to put a dent in the floor, that's not going to cause problems in the house, and make sure you have permission to do it. Maybe you have to do this outside or on a patio or something if you can't do it in the house. But you're going to choose a light, small object, so like a cotton ball. And your goal is to create a lever. And then from a table, you're going to try to move this cotton ball to an intended target. So that can be like a masking tape or something to have a clear target. And then you're going to move your lever and your fulcrum at varying distances and see which one worked the best to hit that target. So you can't use your hands to move the object itself. So like you can't take your cotton ball and just stick it in the masking tape and then be like, there, I did it. That kind of defeats the purpose, right? But you obviously can use your hands to like place the object on the lever. And I say lever, maybe it's lever. I say lever, lever anyways. So sorry if I'm saying it wrong. But anyway, so you put it on and then you, make sure that your fulcrum, so you can move that either up or down based on what you think will work the best, and then you can adjust accordingly. So nothing may be used to secure the object to it, but you're encouraged to use different objects as levers to find out which one works best. So your goal is to find the appropriate distance and to adjust your load, your fulcrum point, and effort. So all those words, if you're scratching your head and you're like, I don't know what you mean by that. So I'm going to show you some examples of what I created in a minute, and hopefully that'll illustrate it and make it easier for you to know. So you also, once again, I mentioned this, but don't throw heavy objects, clear space to do this. Use space that you're permitted to use and obviously clean up when you're done. So the goal is you do this and your parents don't have to be like, come on, why did you leave this basketball in the living middle of the floor? Don't do that. So make sure you clean up after yourself and plan out how you can do this appropriately in your house. Okay. So now I'm going to show you what I created, all right? And then that'll give you an idea of what you could do, okay? So I hope you can see this. Okay, so this is where things get sketchy if I have to like move on my computer. So I just picked a random circle that I have. So here's a dog bowl because we all know I have a dog. And so I just put it on my floor. There we go. A certain distance from the table. And then I created my flat, long material. I didn't create it. I just picked something that would be appropriate. Now you can choose a whole bunch of different materials and see which one you think would work best for this. But obviously make sure it's something that you have permission to have. So I just picked a ruler. All right. And then I had this elastic that I just put around the ruler. And then I had this twist tie that I used to hold my fulcrum, which is my Sharpie marker. So the fulcrum is the part that you can adjust, which will change the force that's being exerted by your lever. All right. So you could have it like high up like this, in the middle like this, or far down like this. All right. So you could adjust it according to how much launching speed you want for your cotton ball or whatever object you chose. So I actually don't have cotton balls, so I modified two. So I don't know why I have this. I think it was a gift from a student actually. So if it was from you, thank you. But I have this random cute fleecy panda bear thing. And so this is my setup. I'm going to try to show you. Oh gosh, this is, if my computer crashes or my laptop crashes, then you'll see me cry. All right, so I just have my like marker on my table, and then I can hold my fulcrum where it is, and then I have my object I'm trying to launch, right? And then you can just hold this with one hand and then launch with this hand. And then that was, I'm obviously not launching it super, super far because I want you to be able to see it. There we go. And then you can assess whether you were able to get it in your target, which is, in my case, not so much. I totally missed. All right. And then you adjust how far you're able to launch it based on the length of your lever, based on the fulcrum point, based on how much force you're applying, how the effort that you're putting into it. So these are all things that you can adjust to try and hit the target. So I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, then once again, you can modify this. Really, the whole goal is that you understand what simple machines are, and that's an example of one. Okay, so that's the lever challenge for the grade 7s and 8s. Okay, so if you're in grade 7, that's all I'm asking you to do. I do have some reflection questions at the end just to like assess what went well and what didn't go well. So just how did it work? Think about what went well and think about what challenges you might overcome if you were to do this again. So that's the lever challenge. Now, once again, I'm rolling out the instructions this week to give you lots of time to think about your design, to think about what you might want to do, to think about where you might want to put it in your house and so on. But the only thing that's actually suggested due this week is your simple machine scavenger hunt, where you're just looking at different simple machines in your environment and writing down as many as you can find. Then next week is when I'm going to have you submit this lever challenge. Now, by submit lever challenge, best case scenario would be you record a video of it and then show me hitting the target. That would be awesome. Second way to submit it, just take a picture of your setup. That's fine too. And then send that in to me. And then last would be you just describe your setup in writing. Like type it out, and then that works too. So you can kind of use whatever technology you have that works the best for you in order to submit this assignment. So best case, I love seeing those videos if you send that to me. Second case, pictures, those work great too. Third, just describe it to me, and that's fine as well. And once again, if this is a fail and it doesn't work at all, then you think about that. Why was it a fail? What might you overcome if you were to do this again? Okay, so if you're in grade 7, you can stop the video now. If you're in grade 8, I have a second challenge for you to do. So this is the pulley challenge. Now, grade 7s, you're certainly welcome to help your sibling in grade 8 if you would like to do it with them. That's fine, but it is not an expectation that you do this. So for the pulley challenge, you're doing a challenge to create a second simple machine. Now, for this one here, once again, I'm going to describe more about these in our Google Meet on Tuesday, but a pulley is, if you look at the picture, I'm sure you've, oh my gosh, what's going on there? If you've seen this picture, you've probably imagined, or like a well or something like that pulls it up, pulley. So you're going to create your own pulley. And so for this, you're going to attempt to lift an object from the floor using a pulley system design. Once again, your hands can't be used to like pick up the object. That defeats the purpose. So whatever you're picking up, if you just take your hand and lift it up off the ground, then that's kind of lame and that defeats the purpose. But your goal is to create a pulley and then lift it up at least 10 centimeters in the air. And then once you do that, you can remove it using your hands. All right. Now, that being said, you don't have to like measure out specifically that you lifted it that high. You can just, as long as you physically lifted it without using your hands, then that's pretty good. So, and by hands, I mean hands touching the object. Obviously, it'll touch the rope or whatever you're using to pull it. So I am going to say for you aiming to have two spools incorporated into the design, that makes this more challenging. But that being said, even if you just do the most basic, simple one spool pulley, then you still get a good understanding of how it works. So part of the pulley system may be taped to a fixed object, like a desk, as long as you are allowed to do that. So if your parents give you permission to do that, you may do that. And then you should plan out your design first before you just start taping things, to make sure that you can. Your goal is to build your pulley and lift your object in as few tries as possible. All right. So once again, reminder, clear space to do this. Use space that you're permitted to use. Clean up when you're done. So I'm going to show you my design. By no means, I almost am hesitant to show you my design because I don't want people copying it. But I also recognize that these instructions might be confusing if you don't have some sort of visual. So here's my pulley, and I tested it. It works. All right. So I have this broom and this paper towel roll, and then this backpack, and then this cable, and then you just go to your design. Oh my gosh. And then you put it around your design. And then your goal is that it makes it easier to lift your object. So I'm actually lifting my backpack by pulling down on this, and I can do it without touching it. So, there we go. So that gives you an idea of my pulley design. And it makes it significantly easier than if I was just picking it up myself. So that's an example of a pulley design. Obviously, don't go out and buy things, just use what you have in the house. But the goal is to try and get a better understanding of how it works by creating it yourself. And similarly to the other challenge, there we go. I just have you thinking about how does the pulley work, think about what went well, think about what challenges you encountered and how you might overcome these challenges if you were to do it again. So similarly, this is due not this week, but next Friday. I'm just telling you about it now so you can start thinking about it. And you can start thinking about what designs you might use, what materials you might have, how you might set this up. I just wanted to give you lots of warning so you could adjust your time accordingly. All right. So your goals: scavenger hunt this week, and then doing the challenge between this week and next week. All right. And then I have those questions submitted. That would be for the Friday of next week. And with those questions, I would love to see a video of both of your pulley and your lever, or I would like to see a picture if you can't record the video, or you can even just describe what you did. All right. So I hope that's clear. You can certainly rewatch this video as many times as you need to. That's one of the nice benefits of online learning is if you didn't quite catch something in class, then you just rewind the tape and then you can check out my instruction and listen to it as many times as you need. So I hope this makes sense. If not, once again, please reach out to me and I'll do my best to clarify, or you can just ask these questions when we check in on Tuesday this week. All right, that's it. Thanks, everyone. Now, there's always this awkward ending where I have to log off, and it's always delayed. I need to figure out something to do during that time. Anyway, that's all. Have a great one, and reach out if you need help, and take care of yourselves. Bye.